In the heart of Germany lies a place where hope was born in 1898, but tragedy made its permanent home. A hospital built for healing, now a decaying labyrinth steeped in whispers of the past. From its dark ties to infamous acts of terror during World War I, to chilling tales of ghostly encounters. This forgotten relic is more than just bricks and mortar. It's a portal to something darker. Are you brave enough to walk these shadowed halls with us? Stay until the end as we explore how this haunting location became the backdrop for some of cinema's most iconic films. The origins, hope and despair. At the dawn of the 20th century, tuberculosis cast a grim shadow over the whole world. It ended lives with ruthless certainty. Globally, the disease claimed souls of nearly 10 million people annually, 1 million every year in Europe. Families were torn apart. Heartbreak lingered everywhere. In 1898, a hospital named Beelitz-Heilstätten was built, taking its name from its purpose as a sanatorium for healing. It rose among the shadowy pine forests outside Berlin in Germany. A sanctuary for the sick, they said. Its walls became a sanctuary not of healing, but of unrelenting despair and death. The large complex of 60 buildings was a marvel of its time, designed with cutting-edge medical innovations to combat the epidemic. Patients were treated in well-ventilated rooms and open-air pavilions, believed to aid recovery. Carefully curated gardens were created to nurture the spirit, aligning with the era's belief in the healing power of nature. Despite these efforts, for many, Beelitz became their final resting place. The sound of labored coughing echoed constantly through its corridors, a haunting reminder of the disease's relentless grip. Today, the remnants of this era remain. Rusted beds, peeling paint, and vine creeping through shattered windows stand frozen in time, holding the secrets and sorrows of those who came here seeking salvation but found only despair and death. Were these walls ever a place of healing? Or was their foundation laid in suffering from the start? Some say the spirits of those who died here still linger, unable to leave the place where their hope turned to despair. But this is only the beginning of Beelitz's haunting tale. Echoes of war, Beelitz's dark transformation. The shadows deepened during World War I, when Beelitz transformed into a military hospital. Among its patients in 1916 was a young soldier named Adolf Hitler, whose dark ambitions would later plunge the world into chaos and cause millions of deaths. He was 27 at that time. Did the hospital's oppressive atmosphere shape the chilling actions that would follow? During the 1918 Spanish flu, that started just during the final stages of the First World War, Beelitz became a critical treatment center, its halls overwhelmed by the dying. Thousands lost their lives within its walls, further saturating the hospital with an air of despair. Could you walk through the same corridors where death once reigned unchecked? For a brief time after the Spanish flu, Beelitz returned to its role as a sanatorium, its halls falling eerily quiet. This fragile peace would shatter as Europe hurtled toward another war, drawing Beelitz into even darker chapters of suffering. By World War II, the hospital became a grim haven for oppressive German soldiers, the enforcers of a brutal regime that tormented and brutalized nations under their iron fist. Its halls, once dedicated to healing, now echoed with the anguished cries of the wounded and dying murderers. For many of these soldiers, Beelitz became a place of reckoning, a final stop where the atrocities they inflicted on others came full circle, and death claimed them without mercy. And after the war, another chapter unfolded. Beelitz fell under the control of another dark force, the Soviet Union. In 1945, it became a military hospital for the Red Army. What should have been a place of recovery soon became a breeding ground for fear and suffering. Within its walls, cruel experiments were carried out under the guise of medical research. Patients endured procedures that defied ethical boundaries. Surgical operations performed without anesthesia, chemical testing on helpless subjects, and attempts to manipulate the human mind through drugs and isolation. Many of these experiments targeted prisoners of war or dissidents captured by Soviet forces. Some were said to vanish entirely, their fates sealed within Beelitz's labyrinthine halls. The hospital, already heavy with the weight of despair, now bore the marks of a new era of torment. What follows takes this tale to an even more chilling depth. If you're drawn to the eerie and the mysterious, don't let yourself be left in the shadows. Subscribe now and let us guide you deeper into the hidden corners of history and horror. Who knows what ancient secrets or restless spirits will reveal themselves next? Now, brace yourself. What comes next will send shivers down your spine. Twisted crimes, sinister legacies. As the Berlin Wall crumbled in 1989, so too did Beelitz. But its abandonment only invited the sinister forces to take hold. The Soviets left it in 1994, leaving nature to reclaim the grounds. Ivy crept into the broken windows. Trees rooted themselves through the floors. In recent decades, Beelitz-Heilstätten's decaying halls have become the stage for chilling modern crimes, further darkening its already sinister legacy. In 2008, a photographer named Michael Kroll lured 20-year-old model Anya to the abandoned hospital for a photo shoot. What began as a simple photography session descended into an unthinkable nightmare of blood and betrayal. Michael attacked Anya with ruthless violence, killing her within the decaying ruins of the hospital. The chilling discovery of her body sent shockwaves through the region. Decades earlier, starting in the late 80s, Wolfgang Schmidt, infamously known as the Beast of Beelitz, terrorized the same area. Schmidt, a deranged serial killer, murdered at least 6 people, including a 3-month-old baby, and committed several assaults in the forests surrounding the hospital. His twisted acts of violence stained Beelitz's already dark history. After years of terrorizing the region, his reign finally came to an end in 1991 when he was caught after an extensive manhunt, convicted of multiple counts of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. Locals whispered that the hospital's sinister energy seemed to draw in darkness, attracting those like Schmidt and Krull to its grounds. As if the site itself amplified the violence and tragedy that unfolded there. To this day, the area carries a very heavy atmosphere. Some believe the hospital has absorbed the pain and suffering of its past, leaving an indelible mark on its walls and the surrounding forest. The crimes of the past have left their mark, but the horrors whispered of Beelitz-Heilstätten may yet be far from over. Do you think that in some cases, death penalty is a necessary form of justice? Let us know in the comments. Beelitz on screen, from history to horror. Beelitz's haunting beauty has made it a favored location for filmmakers. From A Cure for Wellness, 2016, to The Pianist, 2002, its crumbling grandeur serves as the perfect backdrop for tales of horror and despair. Directors are drawn to its unsettling mix of decayed architecture and lingering history, making it more than just a filming location. It becomes a character in its own right. Valkyrie, the 2008 historical thriller starring Tom Cruise, also featured Beelitz-Heilstätten as one of its locations. The hospital's decaying halls lent an eerie authenticity to scenes depicting wartime Germany, mirroring the tension and dread of the assassination plot against Hitler. Its haunting presence complemented the film's themes of resistance and sacrifice, adding a layer of gravitas to the story. More recently, the Netflix series 1899 incorporated Beelitz into its mysterious and atmospheric visuals. The abandoned hospital's haunting corridors and overgrown ruins became a perfect match for the show's themes of psychological intrigue and hidden truths. Its inclusion added another layer of surrealism to the mind-bending narrative. The veil between life and death. Beelitz-Heilstätten is not just an abandoned hospital. It stands as a monument to untold suffering, its walls holding secrets that refuse to fade. It's a place where history breathes through crumbling stone, and where the veil between the living and the dead feels thin. Would you dare to walk its shadowed halls? Would you have courage to stand alone in the surgical theater, waiting for the whispers to begin? Let us know in the comments if you've heard of other haunted places we should explore. And if this journey into the macabre has gripped your soul, like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. Until next time, stay safe and beware the places where history refuses to rest.